Say yes to new beginnings.
Yes.
Say yes to new standards of excellence.
Yes.
Say yes to engaging reportage with a difference.
Yes.
Introducing Yes International Magazine. The time to say yes to your dreams and aspirations is here.
Our guest tonight is Mr. Okechukwu Anthony Onyebule, popularly known as Okey Bakassi. Okey Bakassi, like he is widely known, was born on October 23, 1969, and that makes him 51 years old. Okey Bakassi is an engineer. He studied at the River State University of. He is an actor, a comedian, a TV presenter, a producer, an author, a father, a husband, and an engineer also, like I said earlier on. Man, like I call him, yes, I've seen him, man. I'm trying to tell you about man before we start.
Yeah. Go ahead, I'm listening.
Yeah.
Now, greetings.
Yeah,
good evening, Azu.
Good evening, man. I'm so nice to have you join us. Yes. Now, man already made his name as an actor before comedy took over. In comedy today, he remains one of Nigeria's kings of comedy. Multi-talented. We are going to find out what an engineer is doing in show business today. Those are some of the questions we will be asking him today. Of course, man is happily married to the love of his life. Her name is actually the man calls his wife, and they're blessed with three wonderful children. Man, I think it would be nice if we go straight to the point, because if I begin to introduce you, we will not today. But I'm so happy to
No problem. It's nice to be here as well.
Man, you are practicing a career that is totally different from what you studied in school. How did the transition happen?
Okay. First of all, my life's journey has been, let me say, full of adventure. Okay,
I like that.
For lack of a better language.
All right.
As a kid, I wanted to be many things. Okay. As a kid, I wanted to be a soldier. My dad, may his soul rest in peace, was my mentor and my best friend. So to a lot of extent, I wanted to be like him. Let me just put it that way. I just wanted to be like him, maybe a better version of him. Okay. So he served in the military. I also wanted to be a soldier. Okay.
All right.
After my dad, he served as a military nurse. Me wanted to be a military doctor. Okay. So I wanted to be a medical doctor, but a soldier. Okay, good. But the almighty jump, I guess my head couldn't get the score for medicine. Let me not say jump did not give me medicine, because maybe jump they give. Now waiting you write jump will give you. Now waiting you write jump will give you. You understand? So I cannot come and say jump gave me engineering when I wanted medicine. No.
Okay.
You put option 1, then option 2. I couldn't get my first option, which was medicine. So I ended up with my second option, which was engineering.
Yeah.
So I went in to study engineering. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, while I was doing agricultural engineering at the Rivers State University of Science and Technology, I got involved in entertainment. Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, as a comedian, then we started doing drama sketches. I went to a University of Science and Technology, and University of Science and Technology, the one I went to, did not have, or was not supposed to have, a theater arts department. So there was no theater arts department in the University of Science and Technology. However, we found ways to entertain ourselves, okay, which was doing campus theater, okay, and stand-up comedy. So I was actively involved in all that. And it kind of, for me, it was my own extracurricular, and it made me happy. I just realized that I had so much fun doing it, aside from the engineering. Mind you, I also fell in love with engineering, okay? Yeah. Especially the practical aspect of engineering, because I'm a hands-on person. I like to fix stuff, you know. I did my industrial training with Nigerian Motors at some point, and at the Emicheleti workshop in River State at some other point. You know, so I really fell in love with the practical aspects of engineering, especially with heavy duty equipment, you know, maintenance of heavy duty equipment. But drama, acting, and showbiz gave me so much joy as a young person. You know, one, it gave you the opportunity to interact with people in real time. You know, the tension, the excitement, the butterflies that comes with being in front of an audience. You know, it's like a drug. You know, the moment where you're waiting to be introduced to an audience, the uncertainty that follows it, the tension that follows it, then you're finally introduced, you go before that audience, everybody's staring you down, you don't know what is going to happen, then you begin to perform, suddenly you change their mood, they are liking you, and finally when you leave to a loud ovation. That feeling, you can't begin to understand how it feels. Okay? You can't understand. So that feeling at a young age left an impression. And that impression was, I like to do this. Okay? I also grew up watching some, then, you know, there were really no stand-up comedy industry in Nigeria. So you couldn't have said there were some role models, stand-up comedy models. No, there were none. Let's put it that way. If anybody knows any, let them mention them to me. There was none. But we had actors. We had travel theater, like Willy, like Jaguar, like Babasala, and all those other, you know, traveling theaters, and people who were more into, at that time, what I would call anyway, comedy theater. Anyways, Willy and all the rest of them. So those people also had their influence. I liked what they were doing. I remember going to watch Willy perform live in Port Harcourt. It was an exciting experience. So when I got into Lagos for my youth service, then I was a fan of shows like Ripples on NTA, later Fortune on NTA. So when I got into Lagos to serve, to me, now that I am in Lagos for the first time in my life, I want to know where they are acting these things that I watch on network TV. I wanted to see these people behind this thing that have been fascinating me in my small garden city in Port Harcourt. So I started asking questions. Where do they produce this thing? Is it NTA? They said no, that it's done by an independent producer for NTA. Zebe Jiro. Where is his office? My friend Madu Chikwendo gave me the address to Zebe Jiro's office. I hopped on a bus, went to Zebe Jiro's office, introduced myself to him as a youth corper serving in Lagos, who was interested in what he's doing, and I want to be part of it. You know, I guess Zeb was fascinated by this young youth copper who wanted to be, show interest in what they were doing. You understand? And I remember then him calling Chico, may his soul rest in peace, Chico Ejiro, who is late now. Zeb, his younger brother, called Chico into the office and said, Chico, this young copper here is interested in fortune. Okay, so take down his name. If there's an opening, see what you guys can do with him. I followed Chico out of the office, gave him my contact, and told him that I'll be keeping in touch. Because for me, I didn't want to wait for anybody to send for me. Those were not the era of phones. So nobody will call you. Forget about anybody calling you, is impossible. You understand? So it's my business to be going to that office every day to check if there was an opening. And that I did. Okay? Till one day Chico said to me, okay, they are looking for somebody to fill the role of bodyguard for the Johnsons. Okay? And I auditioned for the role, and I became one of the bodyguards for the Liz Benson family on the show, which is the Johnsons. That was my first exposure to television and camera acting. Prior to that time, everything I had done was on stage. Okay? Wow. It was a different feel. Camera was different. Acting in front of a camera lacked all the excitement, the fun, the tension that came with acting in front of an audience. It was boring to me. It was full of repetition. Take one, take two, take three. You understand? I'm like, three calls. Do close up over the shoulder, and come on. I in my head, so no audience, no people watching this thing and clapping afterwards. It wasn't fun, but I was here, and I was too grateful to have had an opportunity to be part of that. And we are talking about like late 93 here, early 94. You understand? That's what we're talking about here. Nollywood was just evolving. So I also got on that bandwagon, and the rest is history. Here we are.
Wow. Okay. Wow. What an interesting story. Story. Now, I'm sure, that your parents would have been outraged, by your career switch. I mean, tell us about the initial reaction.
My parents, fortunately for me, my parents have exposure. Okay.
Right.
My mom, she's still alive. Trained and worked all her life as a nurse. Okay. My dad served in the Army Medical Corps. So I guess the profession brought them together. And by virtue of the nature of job that they did, we traveled around the country a lot. So they have a bit of exposure for their time. And for them, they were supportive of their children to pursue their ambition. But I know they were excited about me going to study medicine. When I ended up doing engineering, they were also happy. I mean, those days, the things to do then, law, medicine, engineering. So if you fall into any of those, parents, they're happy with that. Yeah, but when I got into Lagos and I started acting, for them it was, okay, we know you like doing this thing, you were doing it in the university, but it's not a job. And and you can also understand them. You understand because way back then this thing was not paying. It was I see Ali Baba here, Ali B. Way back then this thing was not paying. It was, people were doing it out of passion. So they said, okay, we know you like this thing, but they find work, look for work, because this one is not work. You understand? And I kept reassuring them that I was looking for a job. Okay? And honestly, because of the kind of hardship I went through in Lagos, I went through hell in Lagos. I almost slept under my 2 bridge in Lagos as a copper because I had nowhere. I was stranded. Wow. Yes, I was stranded. So I started thinking about job. But at the point that I was close to securing a job, there was this confusion now. If I got a 9-to-5 job, it won't give me the time to pursue production, because already I was involved in production and I know that thing is time consuming. You need to be around. You can't go to work and expect them to keep rule for you. No. So for me, I started thinking, what do I do? Because if I take a job, 9-to-5 job, I won't act. If I start acting, I can't do this. So I had to do one. I'm immerse all myself in that one. So I went to a friend of mine. He was an MD of a finance house at that time.
What's the friend's name?
Mr. Modi. I went to his place and I said to him, I'm confused about this career decision. You know, at least you have a bit of experience working in Lagos. Do you think I should get a job or pursue this my acting career thing? And I'm very grateful to him for giving me an honest answer. He didn't say to me, do this or do that. He just said to me, I want you to realize something. This is Lagos. Lagos is tough. If you get a 9-to-5 job, you'll be making an income that you can live by. So every month you're expecting to get your salary. Then you can plan based on your salary. Okay? As a beginner, you probably will need that in a place like Lagos. You need that steady income. But if you start early to chase your passion, by the time you get to a certain age, you would have built your own business and you will be your own boss. Okay? But just know that you will suffer some days that you will not have money to survive. But if you can overcome all that, you will be successful. You understand? So it's a tough decision. You have to decide for yourself. How do you want to? I went home, I thought about this thing deeply, and I said, you know what I would do is I'll give acting a chance for some years. I still be young. I graduated this time I'm talking about, I was serving at the age of 23. You understand? So time was still on my side. You understand? So in my head, if I give this thing like 3 more years, which will bring me to like 25, 26, if it wasn't moving, I would still be young enough I can now go look for a job. Okay? So I said, okay, let me do this first and forget about job. And that's it till today.
Wow.
We didn't go back to look for a job again. You know? But when my parents started seeing me on TV, and people started telling them about their son who is acting, I think they were liking it. They were liking it. It was beginning to sound nice. They were not seeing any money, but they were liking. I'm sure they were liking the recognition.
Popularity and everything. I like that.
Now, I talk papa and mama now.
Yeah, I like that. Now, you will agree with me that humor is now a multi-million naira business in Nigeria. How do you achieve that?
You see, a few people had to work so hard to make stand-up comedy an industry in Nigeria. And that is where I must give credit to people of our generation. Okay?
This
people like myself. Let me start from myself.
I like that.
People like myself, Ali Baba, Mohammed Danjuma. Okay, may his soul rest in Mohammed Danjuma. May his soul rest in peace. I must also include Alam Blow, because Alam Blow was. I must also give Charlie Boy some credit for providing his weird platform for people to express themselves at the time. Okay, so some of these people who provided that platform and the early comedians who tried to create something out of nothing. Okay, because the only model that existed was the things you could, glean from overseas. Okay, there was really nothing in that regard to emulate here. So what we were doing was, bringing our educational background, our ability to express ourselves, our sense of humor, and a bit of decent dressing. We didn't want to look like the Willy Willies. We didn't want to look like the Jaguar them. We didn't want to look like the Baba Salah them. We didn't want to do jesting or using costume to create humor. We wanted to serve humor through storytelling and look good at doing it. Okay? Because by so doing, people in the corporate business would want to leave an opening for us. At that time, they were not paying. You will be lucky if a corporate body asked you to even come and do something. Then OAPs, like broadcast journalists, people in working at NTA or Radio Nigeria, were the MCs for events. They had command of language plus visibility. Those were the kind of people corporate brands were looking for to handle events. But the extra that we brought was humor. Okay? Yeah, humor. So initially it will be them hiring those people as MCs and bringing us for interlude. Okay. Then over time, when we showed that we had command of language, ability to also handle events, then add humor to it, we gradually started pushing those ones out of business, because we brought value, we brought a total package in a way that they couldn't. You understand? An industry was born, and the next generation of people followed in that line. You know, then finally, when I and Reginald Ebere, alongside Opa Williams, created Night of 1,000 Laughs, it further provided a very big platform for other upcoming comedians to find a stage and a platform and a voice and a way to spread their talent.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Now,
an industry was born.
I like that. Now that I've talked about Night of 1,000 Laughs, could you let us know what gave birth to Night of 1,000 Laughs? How did it actually start? A story. Just
Night of 1,000 Laughs was my idea. I created Night of 1,000 Laughs. Opa Williams is alive, okay, and he knows it. You understand that I brand industry. You understand? And immediately I said, they are not all in Lagos. Because I knew, growing in Port Harcourt, that the likes of myself, Yibo Koko, Francis Duru, Yowuna, we were doing great stuff in Port Harcourt before I came to Lagos. When I came to Lagos, I met here people like Ali Baba, Mohamed Danjuma, Alam Blo, and the rest of them. Ehiomokwale, Binta Ayomogaji, you understand? I met those ones here in Lagos. So in my head, there would be other people like us all over Nigeria, not known in Lagos. And if all these people could come together, an industry will be born. So I started thinking with a concept for a concert. So why don't we go to Port Harcourt, do a talent show? The most outstanding comedian in Port Harcourt will emerge. We'll go to Warri, we do. We'll go to all parts of Nigeria, we do the same show. We pick all these winners and we come to Lagos and we do a Night of 1,000 Laughs. Which it was supposed to be like a Champions League format, where winners from every state will come to Lagos to determine who will be the best. That was the format originally created for Night of 1,000 Laughs. And that was why it had that name. But after months of chasing after sponsorship, because of the sheer size of the show and the fact that we were unknown, we couldn't make any breakthrough with sponsors. Opa Williams at the time was providing his office. I was working for him as a production manager for Virgin Organization. Okay, so we were using his office. Reginald Ebere and I put together the proposal, because Reginald was working for Hinks magazine at the time. He was a writer with Hinks magazine. and a very intelligent, very intelligent young man, then we used to do script conferences for Upper Williams. So we were putting our heads together, working on this concept, trying to turn it into a proposal that could be sold, presented it to Upper. He loved it. He said, look, guys, I'll give you all my support. Push, let's see what we can do. You can use my office. Secretary, please, whatever they needed to type for them, get it ready for them, do all the documentation that they need. And we hit the street. He focused on his movie production and his agency business that he was doing. But after months of hitting the pavement without luck, he called us one day. He said, guys, I can't be wasting my resources and time on this thing. Pull the plug on these things. Let's focus on the movie making that we do. Okay? So the whole idea went into the drawer and we focused on making movies. Azubuike didn't see a young marketer at the time who was adventurous and willing to do new stuff. Upper was his friend. Upper discussed the idea with Azubuike. Azubuike said, I'll put money. That's how Upper ran with the idea. And it became an Upper Williams Night of 1,000 Laughs. That's the story of Night of 1,000 Laughs.
Wow.
Yes.
You guys didn't register the trademark. You didn't register the brand name.
Who was thinking about all that? who was thinking about things like that in like 1990, around 95 or thereabout? Who was thinking about look, you need to understand that this young guy just finished service, was thinking about trying to make money. You understand? I was still living in my one room in Pangrove then. You understand?
So how do you feel today about the success of Night of 1,000 Laughs and the fact that many people do not know that it was your idea?
Yeah, the thing is that, in the beginning, it was a problem because the day I walked into the office at Virgin Organization and I was called to go negotiate fee for Night of 1,000 Laughs, I was disappointed because I'm like, this is my concept. This is my idea. How dare somebody call me to negotiate fee? And I don't know you. You were not there when we were working on this project. So I refused to negotiate any fee. Throughout that day, I did not talk about it. The next day, I arrived office in the morning. I went straight to Upper Williams' office. I said, what is happening? How can somebody else be asking me to discuss with them, Night of 1,000 Laughs with them? And Upper asked me one question. Would you rather this idea died than come to life? It was a tough question. In that moment, I was thinking, it's either you put up a fight, young man, and this man says, okay, take your idea and to hell with you. Or are you going to be happy that someone is finally bringing this idea to life? For me, the overriding factor at the time was, let's go make an industry. Let's make this thing work. I was pained that I was treated shabbily. But for me, the overwhelming thing was let it succeed. And after giving it some thought, well, I grudgingly accepted and it happened. But at some point, the pain wouldn't go away. And I consulted a fairy one day and I said, I want to take legal action against Upper Williams. Oh, yes. Because at that time, it had moved from Night of 1,000 Laughs to Upper Williams' Night of 1,000 Laughs. And I was nowhere in it. Nowhere. I was nowhere mentioned. Reginald Ebere, who was my second in creating that concept, was nowhere mentioned. It was just Upper Williams' Night of 1,000 Laughs. I said it's not fair. You can't take this thing and take the 100% credit. So I called Efere, may his soul rest in peace. Because Efere, at the time was a lawyer who knew so much about intellectual property rights and who was championing the cause of the industry.
He was also a lawyer.
Yeah, so I called Efere and said, Efere, I want to sue Upper. I know he's your friend, but I want to sue him. You understand? He can't. So a friend said, no. Okay, you two of you are my friends. You understand? What will happen is that I'll bring two of you to the table. Let us reconcile. It was a fairy that reconciled me and Upper.
Okay.
And after then, Oppa started mentioning in interviews that this whole idea of Night of a Thousand Lands was developed by himself, Okey Bakassi, Regina Depere, and called some other names into the whole mix. You understand? But I looked at it, I just said, for him to acknowledge that I had a hand in it was just what I wanted. You understand?
Okay.
Let it just slide. Let it just slide.
You didn't get any financial benefit?
No. Apart from getting paid to perform in those shows, no royalties, nothing.
Wow,
In fact, the story too long, but we can't use one evening to understand. It's a long story, but we just have to put this for the records.
Yes.
And it's also in my book. It's also in my book, Memoirs of an African Comedian. This story is in my book. Yes, wow. I had to document that for history too. It's in my book. Yeah. If you read the Memoirs of an African Comedian, you'll see it there.
The story there. Wow, I like that. that. I mean, I've been into entertainment for nearly all my life. I didn't know about this. I see how close I am to Oppa and everybody. But it's okay. We let it be. Yes.
Now my yoga that time. Now my yoga. You understand? Now my yoga. Like in they pay me money that time. You understand? So to pick fight with your yoga, it was not be easy something. So now something you have to trade with caution. You understand? He's still my very good friend till tomorrow. Yeah. But we have to settle that for the records. Yeah.
Yes.